Fantastic new car. We are going to give you the full breakdown of both the design and the engineering of both vehicles. You'll go through and speak to Alan Shepherd and Amy Frischella, and also we have Alex Heslop and Rob Atkin from a capability point of view. Before that, I'm pleased to say we're joined by Finn Barnett-Fool, who is Global Product Marketing Director, to tell you a little bit about the customer for Defender. And we also have Sean Henstridge, who's going to tell you the different configurations for the car. But to kick us off, I'm pleased to welcome Andy Will, who's Head of Exterior Design for Land Rover, who's going to give you a bit of an overview of what New Defender is all about. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon everybody. Yeah, that's me. I'm the car designer that's called Mr. Wheel. Oh dear. Okay, so I've had a fantastic opportunity in my time at Land Rover. I've been in the company for 20 years. I've had an opportunity to work on so many things, but this is the pinnacle. This day that we've had, there are so many of us around the business, we're so passionate about Defender, making sure that we do the right thing, and today has been the day after so many years we can actually get out there and talk about it. My role is as Chief Designer for exteriors. My particular specialisation is in taking concepts through to production with all of the challenges of legislation, manufacturing and so on, and making them just as exciting when they get to the end customer as when they were a concept. So what I want to talk to you about is a little bit about Land Rover, but then specifically about New Defender. So, a bit of background. Land Rover's obviously been on quite a journey over the last 71 years. And we are rooted in functionality. But over the years, the world has changed, the vehicles have come along, different vehicles have come along, Range Rover Classic, through Discovery, through Freelander and so on. Each one was really defining segments. Vehicles like Evoque, there was nothing like it at the time, but there are plenty like it now. So we've always been there innovating. But obviously, at the heart of that was that original Land Rover, which became Defender. Now, as we've created more vehicle lines, nameplates if you like, we've had to organise those in a way which the customer finds really easy to understand. And the way we've done that is the three families that you can see up there. We have Range Rover, we have Discovery, we have Defender. Now, in terms of what do they stand for, what are the similarities, what's the DNA that joins them all together? Design and engineering integrity. Those are the key things, the key attributes where we say we want to be better than the competition. We must be better than the competition, no matter what. For a vehicle to wear the Land Rover badge, it should fulfill those requirements. But then, in terms of a third attribute, a leadership attribute, Range Rover is all about luxury, Discovery is all about versatility, it's a we car rather than a me car, and then Defender is all about durability. Now, up until today, we've only had 2/3 of that story to be able to talk about. Today, the picture is complete. The strategy is complete. We have three families all joined by the Land Rover oval. And we can talk about them as a whole now. It all makes sense. Now, all of those vehicles, they've all been generated using a set of principles, which you can see up on screen here. These are principles that we've used on a number of vehicles now. They're still relevant now in terms of making successful vehicles that are worthy of that Land Rover badge. Modernity. Modernity sounds obvious, but modernity is not about fashion. It's about doing the right thing to create vehicles which are contemporary and stay contemporary. This is about understanding what you need to do to make sure that the vehicle still looks fresh several years into its vehicle life. And of course, a key part of that is making it relevant, making sure you understand the customer, not the customer needs now, which is reactive, but the customer needs into the future. How do you think about where the customers are going to? How do you allow the maximum flexibility so that the customer can tailor the vehicle to themselves? Then you have sustainability. Sustainability is a given, no matter what industry you're in. But our take on sustainability is very holistic. It's all about understanding how you get efficiency gains right the way from manufacture right the way through the vehicle use to end of life of the vehicle. And of course, the key thing, the most important thing, the best way to make a product green is to make sure it's not scrapped, to make sure it's relevant for as long as possible. It stays in use all the time. And of course, that's where we can quote that original Land Rover, series Land Rover through to Defender, where figures say that between 70 or 75% of all those cars which were ever manufactured are still in use somewhere in the world. That's an incredible figure. Okay, and then we get to desirability. Desirability is all about this emotional connection. This is about saying, wow, what's just overtaken me? What have I just seen online? I want to find out more. It's about making sure the customer, when they feel that emotional connection to it, they want the vehicle. But then you cannot stop there. Even when you've got the conquest, you've got the customer into one of your vehicles, you've got to make sure that those early days, those early weeks of using the vehicle, it gives them everything that they were hoping for, everything that makes the Land Rover badge and the Land Rover brand special. And then it goes to a third stage, which is when the customer is looking to replace their vehicle. We should be doing vehicles which have a unique set of attributes, a set of qualities, which means that the first place that they will naturally go back to is the Land Rover showroom to see the latest update or a slightly different sized vehicle if their circumstances have changed. So that's our design philosophy. But of course today we're talking about Defender. This is a vehicle which transcends logic. It's a vehicle which is so rational, it actually provokes like an emotional reaction. People are utterly enthusiastic about Defender. There'll be some people out there who will sort of say, oh, Defender, no, it's a terrible machine. There'll be others who will be saying, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. So we've got to sort of try and get all of these things together and say, right, we are creating a vehicle which is going to have to sell in much bigger numbers. We want it to be a real-world vehicle for the 21st century, something which takes the best of the past but projects it forward into the future. So as you would have heard Jerry saying downstairs earlier, we're respecting its past, we're respecting what Defender stands for, but we're not harnessed by it, we're just using that as the basis to create the best all-terrain vehicle in the world. So, Defender is here, we've got it now. Let's start with a video and then we'll unveil the cars. I know you've seen it on stage down there, but you'll have the opportunity to come take a closer look in a minute. That animation there, it's fantastic. That's actually something which, a little bit of an insight. We actually created a version of that animation for use in-house to bring the car alive when we were at the early stages, when we fixed the design theme as a way of helping us sell the design theme to the whole of the rest of the company internally. It was set in the design studio at Gaydon, so the real studio doesn't actually have bits of Defender flying around in there making vehicles, but that'd be quite a dangerous place to be. So, new Defender. It all starts with the silhouette. Every company strives for products which are instantly recognisable, whether that's in the blink of an eye or at a distance. They want things that are instantly recognisable. We have that. We have what we call that design equity, that DNA, that equity in Defender. And it's all about this silhouette. We look at the chamfered roof. We look at the horizontal roof line here. Very vertical cut-off rear end. Very short rear overhang. What for a modern car is quite an upright screen, horizontal bonnet, and then this very short front overhang with this sheer front end. That creates this unique silhouette. Not only do people say, oh yeah, that's a Land Rover, but also it sends the signal that this is a vehicle which is optimised for all-terrain capability. Great approach angle, great departure angle, great breakover angle in the middle here. So beyond that, you will have heard Jerry talking about the key lines along the vehicle, the roof line, the waistline here, and then this shoulder line, all very, very horizontal. They've got a certain amount of taper on there to give the car some poise and some attitude. But then we have these squared off wheel arches, which are a nod to the original Defender. And it's all joined up by these very complicated, clean surfaces. All of those who know the series Land Rovers and Defenders, they all had flat panels. All the ripples that were in there, obviously, that's not right for the modern world. You can really communicate sophistication, modernity, contemporary design through these surfaces. And talking of those subliminal messages about, you know, what the design says to the observer, we've got to remember that this is a tough car. And we keep saying, looks tough is tough. But that first bit, looks tough, that is all about the subtlety, how these surfaces come together, the radii, the fact it looks almost like it's been milled from a solid billet piece of metal. That's what we want. Another important element of that is the stance. So can we just spin the car around, please, so we can take a look. The stance of the car is the relationship of the body to the wheels and tyres. Getting that right means that you're sending this message of the car being absolutely planted. As it rotates around here, you'll also see the front end. We've got this very unique front end graphic with the circular lamps, which again are a nod to Defenders of old. Very constructed, very architectural front end, very, very vertical, deliberately, creating something which connects to the other products that we make, to the other families, to Discovery and to Range Rover, but it's got its own unique identity. We wanted to define the corners of this car, so it's almost a very elevational vehicle. Now, as we go round to the back, we've got the spare wheel on there as well. Now, it was always a given. When people think about the collective memory of Defenders of old, those cars, if you ever ask them to draw it or describe it, they would always have a spare wheel on the back. Now, this is more than just a design want. This is all about that, the working together across all the disciplines. We knew that the way to get the best departure angle on here was not to have the spare wheel under the car. You had to take the spare wheel away and put it on the back. Now, that is quite a challenge. You know, most other manufacturers are not putting spare wheels on the back of cars anymore, especially when we have these tyres which are 815mm diameter. Part of what makes the car have such great proportions and stance, it also gives us a real challenge when it comes to designing the back end of the car with all modern regulations in terms of lighting and so on. And it was finding a solution to all of those parameters which led us to this signature lighting here, which has the stacked geometric elements just like the original Defender, but also these little supplementary lights out the side here which house the turn indicators and so on, creating this down the road graphic. Back to that thing about the silhouette being instantly recognisable, we've now also got a front end identity, instantly recognisable, and a rear end identity. So no matter which elevation you are looking at, you'll see it and you'll know, yeah, that is new Defender. Another part of what we're talking about here, we've got a vehicle which does not have the square graphic on the side there. Now, we've used the square graphic as a way of tying both the 90 to the 110 that you can see here. The car will be available with or without the square graphic, but from a design perspective, we are absolutely passionate that that is the right thing to do. What's on screen there? It gives you the choice. You can have a little bit more privacy for the row 2 occupants, and you get some storage on the inside there. As I say, customers will be able to make the choice, but this is the design vision where you anchor the roof to the rest of the car, but you're magnetised by this square graphic which is directly above that real structural strong point of the rear strut. So we also have the 110. The 110 which we're actually standing in front of here is the vehicle which was featuring in that video shot in Kazakhstan, where it was going through all of the rough surfaces up and down those really steep inclines. This vehicle has also come via the Nürburgring as well, and it's here. It's basically had a lifetime of wear and tear already, but we're proud to have it on the stand here because it shows the length that we've gone to in terms of durability, and also demonstrating the fact that it has this breadth of performance both on-road and off-road. The 110 shares all of the same bodywork up to the windscreen and including the windscreen, but it has a much longer overhang, wheelbase. Short front overhang at the front, exactly the same as the 90. Short rear overhang at the back, exactly the same as the 90. But all of this extra wheelbase allows us to go from a 2-door configuration to a 4-door configuration. All of that extra space in between allows us to do a much more flexible interior, much more space in there, so people have a huge amount of combinations that they can choose from, with the seating combinations going from a 2-seat commercial 90, 3-seat commercial, 4-seat, 5-seat, 6-seat, 5-seat, and 7-seat, 5 plus 2-seat in the 110 as well. A number of combinations, all within 2 body shells there. So, hugely complex story, a massive amount of things that you can do to the car once you have this blank canvas, if you like. And now, that's the point at which I would like to hand over to somebody that I've known for many, many years, my colleague, Chief Designer Sean Henstridge, who's going to talk about the accessorising and how you can take this blank canvas and each customer can tailor it to exactly what they want from it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Andy. 30 years, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so my name's Sean Henstridge. I'm the Chief Designer for Special Vehicle Operations. And actually, it's interesting because Special Vehicle Operations do a lot of halo vehicles, but we also look after the vehicle personalisation aspect of our vehicles, and that includes, of course, accessories. Massive story for accessories on the new Defender. Clearly an enormous amount of heritage to live up to with the number of accessories that existed on the original Defender. And we wanted to make sure that when we hit job one with this car, we have an enormous portfolio of fantastic accessories. And you can see there how that might start looking once you start to configure lots of different configurations to deliver an enormous suite of characters. So speaking of characters, we've got, I don't know if you can believe this, over 170 accessories, and you can imagine how difficult that would be for a customer to then start choosing what kind of accessories they would like on their vehicle. So what we've tried to do is create 4 very distinctive characters that helps guide the choice of the accessories onto your particular vehicle. And it's worth noting that, of course, all the accessories we do are available on the 110, the 90, and of course the commercial when we see that. So, 4 particular groups of character there. You can see urban, country, adventure, and explorer. Just a little bit of detail behind each one. The urban is all around the city environment, making the car look quite neat. It's got a lot of extra little bright bits on the car just to kind of lift it. The adventure, that's for those people who are a little bit into their lifestyle, their mountain biking, the kayaking, canoeing, surfing. The adventure, we've got, sorry, that was the adventure. The country, we're into looking at people who love green welly stuff, going through mud, bringing the dogs, getting the car muddy, etc. And of course Explorer, which in fact this is a version of here, this car here, which is the most extreme. So let's just talk about the detail of each pack. So the adventure, as I said, inspired by outdoor sports and activities. It's extremely appropriately equipped. Lots of really interesting things, both on the outside and the inside of the car. You'll probably notice on the right-hand side there, the side-mounted gear carrier. Quite a unique accessory, I think you'll agree. Something that was inspired by motorcycle panniers. What could we use that for with regard to the Defender? And actually, it's all about storing wet gear, something that's dirty or smelly that you don't want to put in the car. It's lockable, it can take up to 17 kilograms of weight, and it's completely watertight, so you can put stuff in there and keep it dry. But if you want to wash it out, there's a plug in there allowing the water to escape. Inside the car, you'll notice on the top right there's an air compressor fully integrated into the car. It allows you to deflate, inflate tyres. It will do 4 full-size SUV tyres quite quickly, and actually you can use it for other things. If you were camping and you wanted to put an airbed up, it will pump that up incredibly quickly, and actually it only takes about 30 seconds to inflate our accessory awning, which you can see there in the bottom left. So that's a hoop that expands up with the air, and you can add that onto the front or the side of the car. And then finally there's the backpack, which is coming as part of the pack as a standard feature. The backpack actually doubles up as a cubby box stowage area in row 2. It clips into the seat in the middle, but then you can take it out and wear it. So in terms of how that looks on a car, I think it gives quite a distinctive character. And you'll notice here that the upgrade box there on the right hand side suggests that we can have an A-frame protection bar, which is a version of what you can see here on the car. In fact, this is the winch version. And of course the side steps, a fixed side step. Now it also includes the undershield, and you can see that the undershield is on this car. It's a 6mm thick piece of aluminium, fully tested to the June test, which is a very strict Jaguar Land Rover test, and it performs fantastically to give that level of protection underneath the front of the car. So let's move on to the country. So, you know, it's time to get muddy. It's time to take the dog for a walk and embrace the elements. This is why we've added things like the rinse system you can see there. We've got the pressurized container with washing things off. We've also got dog packs. We've got the internal load space divider so that we can put dogs in the back of the car. And if you look on the exterior, we've got the enhanced protection. So this is really inspired by people who like to go get a bit muddy, onto the fields, green lanes, brush and scrub. All of this stuff here is going to protect the car in that manner. Then we've got the Explorer pack. So the Explorer pack is probably the most fully loaded pack as a standard pack, and you can see there's an enormous amount of character built out of the amount of components that we put on. It's a trailblazing kind of character. The key elements on this pack as part of the upgrade are the ladder and the Expedition roof rack. This vehicle here has the lightweight roof rack on it. It's a 36 kilo roof rack, but it can take 300 kilos of static load. So putting a tent on the roof, as you can see in this image here, the pop-up tent, which is also available as an accessory, and put 2 adults in there with all their gear, no problem at all. And of course, to get up to the roof tent, you'll need the ladder, a very cleverly designed ladder, which folds up very flush to the surface of the car, lockable, clips out, rotates out. In fact, this car has got it, so I do encourage you to have a quick look when we're done. And that can take 178 kilos of weight of the ladder. So very, very durable and really connects to the whole message of the car. And you can see when you see all of those components on the car and combine it also with the side panniers, it does look quite distinctive. And in fact, adding to the distinction is that bonnet graphic detail of the on the bonnet there, inspired by the anti-glare features. Next up, Urban Pack. So not an enormous amount of content, but quite subtle. Just lifts around the car, a little bit of bright accents. We've got the side tubes, we've got the front undershield as you see on this car, and the rear step finisher on the back of the tailgate. There is also the 22-inch loom wheels there with the Defender script in black. Fantastic looking wheel with the sports pedals. I'm sure you'll agree it looks fantastic when you see it all together. Okay, so just to give you a bit of a flavour, we have a little film, 30 seconds, just to give you a flavour of all those packs as you can see them all in action. Okay, I'm going to wrap that up. I'm going to hand over now to Finbar, who's going to talk you through his little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And
Thank you very much for your time. Maybe this is repeating the message now, but it's a big day for us, and a lot of us have been working on this for a while now, so these really mean something to us. You're going to hear quite a bit about breadth of capability. That's really at the heart of what Land Rovers are all about, and especially Defender. But you'll hear specifically about how, of course, this car is the expert off-road. That doesn't go away, be in no doubt. And I guess if you were in any doubt, you saw how we revealed it this morning. What other car would reveal itself to the world in that way? But we've expanded the breadth of capability. You'll hear more later from our engineers about how this car is now fun to drive on-road, and how the capability, the definition is now expanded to include a connected capability. We'll talk a little bit about our new infotainment system, Pivi. We'll speak also about our ability to update the car remotely with software over the air. That's quite an elegant solution. When you consider the old Defender, we like to think of the fact that it could be repaired anywhere in the world, where the modern interpretation of that is to be able to update and upgrade your car remotely through software over the air. That's exactly what this car has. So you'll hear much about that, and altogether, effectively that formula next for a 21st century Defender. Now, when we've been working on any of our new cars, it's a joy. Working on replacement vehicles, it's a real gift. We're lucky to have these jobs. Working on replacing and helping to reimagine our icon, well, that added another level of responsibility. And you then really have to question yourself. You say, where do you start? And of course you have to start by really understanding what your brand stands for and what your product promise is. And as Andy explained to us, we know exactly what our Land Rover brand stands for, and we know exactly what the promise for Defender is. We wanted to create our most capable and durable SUV. And in doing so, it would make it distinct, both within our own family and then also to the wider SUV market. It was really important to us. Now, something else that was really important was to really stop for a minute and consider our lineage. Very few products really have the lineage and the authenticity that the original Land Rover and Defender have. And as you can imagine, the creation of any new product, yes, we have our corporate meetings and our governance, but before we started all of that, we allowed ourselves a moment of reflection to say, why does this car matter so much? Why do we really care about it so much? There are plenty of new cars that come to market. Why is this one different? Why do we care, and why are there so many people around the world that also care? And we thought we could look back into our history to help inform our future. And this montage helps to give us some insight. If you look at how the car really evolved through its successive series and body variants, you'll see actually how the customer base evolved alongside. So yes, it has always been the choice of the expert user, but as time progressed, it also became the go-to vehicle for people with a spirit of adventure. And then something really elegant happened, which was the car itself proved itself not just to be capable, but to allow its customers to be capable of great things. That's a really important moment. When that happens, then you have a connection with the product and a connection with the brand. So we wanted to build on that connection. And that's exactly what we've done with these vehicles. Now, the chart you're looking at on the screen is a simplified version of a chessboard. All product planners use a form of this. You're looking at an expanded version of an SUV market, body styles on one side, price on the other. And we wanted to make sure that Defender was in its own space. And we truly believe that Defender has a unique proposition. Exactly as I said, both internally and externally. There's nothing else like it. It's its own space, it's in its own category, it's in a category of one. And its unique abilities mean that we believe it will be attractive to owners and considerers, not just of the traditional SUV market, but the much bigger and broader SUV market. Now, that broader appeal will also reveal itself in the broader customer base. So let's talk about customers. Of course, as you can imagine, we have our core customer still, the expert user. Now, this is the person for whom the Defender is still their go-to vehicle to really satisfy and realise their adventure. This is still the choice of experts. Complementing that, we have our commercial or our professional user. This is the person for whom the car is really a tool to get a job done. It might be an individual with his or her business, it might be a small business, it might even be NGO, like a Red Cross or a Red Crescent Society. But when we did the research and development behind this car, we discovered there's another group, and potentially this is the largest group, and this is the everyday user. These are people who may not use the capability to the same extent as the other two, but nonetheless they admire what the car can do. And as all the groups of customers, they really buy into and connect with the car's unstoppable spirit and the fact that it allows them to make more of their world. That in turn means that broader customer base means that we have a broader customer offer. And yes, of course, we build a core construct around those two wheelbases of the 19110, but in parallel we have a range of lifestyle packs and lifestyle goods. And Sean just took you through the lifestyle packs. We've never done anything like this before. This is a very complete offer. And we've had a lot of fun doing it. Exactly as Sean says, we have 170 accessories now. You can choose to configure your car with choosing those individually, or you can choose certain characters. That helps the process, but also speaks to the fact that the Defender can exist in different forms. Now, we have also developed a range of lifestyle goods. We collectively call these our Above and Beyond collection. Some of them are specifically and singularly from Land Rover, and in other cases we have brand associations. So for example, our best kept secret, Lego Defender, those two things were meant to be together. That's actually embargoed until tomorrow, but in the spirit of fun and enjoying creating this product, that was a sheer joy. But we have also teamed up with Musto. These are the guys that provide the kit and equipment for Team GB, equestrian and sailing. And to give you an idea of the full breadth of the overview of the lifestyle goods that will be on offer, I'll play you a short film. So a very comprehensive offer, and just like the vehicle itself, everything you've seen there has been designed to be capable and durable. Even the belt you saw can withstand loads of up to 6 tons. You never know. We know it works. Our experienced team have used it. Now, importantly, we're already displaying, and it's on sale downstairs with our branded goods display. Customers will be able to buy these at our retailers alongside the arrival of the new Defender, and of course you can just go online and search for the Land Rover Above and Beyond collection. Now, we're going to roll out the launch period for Defender is effectively over the first 2 model years. This is a global picture that I will speak to, so your local market managers will have your market-specific conditions. But effectively, we start with 2 wheelbases, 19 and 110, and 3 models, the core of which is the Defender, the core Defender model, and off that you can have 3 spec packs, S, SE, and HSE. And then there are 2 complementing models, First Edition and an X. The first edition is limited by time rather than volume, available for the first model year. And in both cases, the first edition and the X have their own unique spec. We will, and this is a global picture, we'll have 4 powertrains, 2 petrol, 2 diesel. For petrol, 300 and 400 PS, the latter of which is an i6 with an MHEV, and for diesel we have 200 and 240. Both of those have 430 Newton meters of torque. We will launch with 7 colours, 3 of which have a satin protective film, and Jerry referenced this at our reveal earlier. Other manufacturers have satin paint. That might have been okay, but actually it wasn't appropriate for a Land Rover or for a Defender. We wanted a more durable solution, and Amy will tell you a little bit more about that, but it's entirely appropriate. And we'll also have 3 roof options, and I tell you this because it allows me to tell you about my favourite option. We'll have a solid roof, an open panoramic roof, and a folding fabric roof. And that canvas comes back far enough in the second row to allow you to stand straight up. And we like to say that Land Rovers don't just get you to places in the world that other cars can't, but when you get there, you want to be able to see it. So it's just perfect for those safari moments. Now, within a year, the offer will be extended to include, as you saw in the reveal, a commercial model that has N1 compliance where applicable, and their additional powertrain a PHEV. At this point also, we will add another 5 colours to have the full breadth of the 12 colour offer. Now, just to close, we've spoken about the breadth and appeal of the offering. Effectively, the images you see here replicate effectively the cars that were shown at the reveal this morning. And it speaks to the fact that Defender can exist in all these different forms, just like the original car did. That's its strength. It's effectively a classless car. It is there with different offerings, a family of vehicles that have different specifications targeted for different customers, all the way from that commercial up to an X model. And as you saw, these are UK prices. The commercial starting at 35,000 excluding that, where it is N1 applicable. Now, speaking of prices, the order banks have now opened for the Defender 110. I can tell you our configurator is officially busy. Let's hope it stays live. But the purpose of this chart is it shows you the UK prices, and again, your market managers have all of your relevant prices, but the purpose isn't so much to talk to the specific prices, but to show the breadth of the offer. And that shows, the chart shows the ranges of prices across the models and the specification packs. We will have a Defender at every price point for every customer. There will be a Defender for everyone. Now, one more thing. There is one more confidential customer that we haven't spoken about yet. So, one of the first places that you'll see our new Defender in action is inappropriately at the hands of another British icon, James Bond. And the car will be a star in the next Bond movie, No Time to Die. And as the big embargo blazoned across the screen would suggest, please, confidential information until October 5th. That's absolutely vital. Eon Productions were kind enough to allow us to talk about this, so please, your discretion and confidentiality. Now, why was it in the movie? It's used in extreme off-road chase scenes. They were filmed in Norway and Scotland, and they needed an expert vehicle. They needed a vehicle with an unrivaled breadth of capability. They needed a car with a perfect mix of capability and durability. They needed our 21st century Defender. So, thank you very much. That ends the session in here. You guys will now progress into the next section. You'll hear from Amy about the design, and later from the engineers into the specific details and the engineering behind this amazing new car. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you.